Good day everyone, this is Coach Gerald. Welcome back to GMG Chess. This game demonstrated the power of Rook in the 7th rank. As Gibner said in his book entitled Capablanca's Best Chess Endings, you will never find no ending equal to this one, as Capablanca sacrificed 2 or even 3 pawns to occupy the 7th rank and activate his king to deadly f6 square, supporting his passed g-pawn and creating checkmate at black king. Also, this game was played in the top chess tournament and strong chess players. Without further ado, let's go now to the game. Capablanca played d4, e6, knight f3, f5, c4, knight f6. The Dutch defense. It is an aggressive and unbalanced chess opening, resulting in lowest percentage of draws among the reply for d4. Bishop g5, bishop e7, knight c3, castle, e3, b6, bishop d3, bishop b7, castle, queen e8. The common plan for Dutch opening: queen e8, queen h5, knight g4, then bishop takes f3, followed by queen takes h2 checkmate. Then queen e2, knight e4, preventing the white breakthrough at e4, and leads to exchange of pieces. Bishop takes e7, knight takes c3, creating white double pawn and isolated a pawn. B takes c3, queen takes e7, white has double c pawns and isolated a pawn, but useful b file for his rook. a4, good move. Bishop takes f3. It seems not logical to exchange the active bishop for white knight. If knight c6, simply develop, then rook b1. If knight a5, c5. Undouble the pawn if b takes c5, rook b5. Now let's go to the game. Bishop takes f3. Queen takes f3, knight c6, rook fb1. Again, place your rook in the offen file. Rook a e8, queen h3, rook f6, f4. A good principal move, placing the pawns opposite to his bishop and fixing the e5 square. Knight a5, queen f3, d6, rook e1. Interesting. The rook is not useful to b file anymore, as there is no c5 breakthrough. But it turns out that the e4 move is advantageous for white, as it opens the e file for the rook and b1 to h7 diagonal for bishop. Queen d7. If e5, then e4, knight b3, rook a d1, e takes d4, then e5, d takes e5, f takes e5, rook f7, bishop c2, knight a5, c takes d4. White has good winning chances at this point. After queen d7, as played in the game, e4, good move, opens up the game, which favor for bishop. F takes e4, queen takes e4. The threat is queen takes h7 check. g6, then g3, binding. The placement of white pawns are good. King f8, king g2, Rook f7. If queen c6, trading the queen, queen takes c6, knight c6, rook a2, planning to exert pressure along the e file, followed by rook a e2. After rook f7, h4, planning to move h5, destroying the shield of black king. d5, planning to exchange the queen, but it turns out to be white advantage in endgame, which is the masterpiece of Capablanca. C takes d5, e takes d5, queen takes e8 check, queen takes e8, rook takes e8 check, king takes e8. This is one of the best example of a rook on the 7th rank, triumphing over the material odds. And now we reach one of our strategic chess puzzles. And the solution to this puzzle is h5, good move, creating another file for white as principle of two weaknesses. The h file, the g6, h7, and d5 pawns. Rook f6. If g takes h5, rook h1, and black cannot save both pawns at d5 and pawn at h7. After king f8, protecting the h7, rook takes h5, king g8, rook takes d5. If c6, protecting the pawn at d5, rook takes h5, king f8, rook takes h7. Both good for white. After rook f6 as played in the game, h takes g6, h takes g6, rook h1. The h file is more useful for white rook than the e file, and black rook is tied up to defend at pawn at g6. And white controlled the 7th rank easily. After king f8, if rook c6, that is blunder. Bishop b5 pin. After king f8, rook h7, controlling the important 7th rank and cut off the black king at the 8th rank. Rook c6, protecting the c7 pawn and creating some counterplay at the queen side, but not sufficient. g4, a calm move. Knight c4. If rook takes c3, bishop takes g6, exchanging of white c pawn to black g6 pawn is favor for white, as white has two passed pawns, can easily march to promote or checkmate the black king. After knight c4, g5, good move. f5 is mistake. Black eliminated his long-term weakness, the g6 pawn, and leaving the c3 pawn unsavable. After g takes f5, g takes f5, knight d6, f6, knight f7, and the f6 pawn will be lost. After g5, which is the right strategy, where it fixed the black pawn at g6 and cannot escape from the attack of white bishop. White threat is rook h6 if king g7, then f5, followed by f6 or f takes g6. After g5, knight e3 check, king f3, knight f5. At first glance, black has found the answer to all his problems. The f5 square is occupied by the black knight, blocking the attack on g6. And rook takes c3 looks strong. but insufficiently with good play for white. Interesting is knight d1, as suggested in computer analysis. There's a chance to hold the position. But on Tartakower analysis, he mentioned after knight d1, rook h6, king g7, f5, knight takes c3. But the engine suggested knight b2, good move. But after his analysis, knight takes c3, king f4, good move. White is winning if knight e4, bishop takes e4, d takes e4, d5, if rook d6, then f6, winning for white. After knight f5, which played in the game, bishop takes f5, good move. Capablanca trusts in the power of the 7th rank than material. His plan to move his king to f6 to checkmate the black king or support the g pass pawn. After g takes f5, king g3, a brilliant move, avoiding the cutoff from the 3rd rank. Rook takes c3, king h4, rook f3. If rook c1, king h5. I asked this in one of my chess students, and he answered g6. But after rook h1 check, king g5, rook takes h7, g takes h7, king g7 force, all of them are force. King takes f5, c5 force. Otherwise, if king takes h7, king e5. White is winning. But after c5, good move. D takes c5, b takes c5, king e6, d4, f5, d3, f6 check, king takes h7, f7, d2, f8 queen, and d1 queen. And the position is draw. But after king h5, good move. If rook h1 check, king g6. If rook takes h7, king takes h7. White is winning and white g-pawn is unstoppable. But after rook f3, g6, the fastest way, planning to move his king to f6. Rook takes f4 check, king g5, rook e4. The greedy rook takes d4 is punished by king f6. After king e8, rook takes c7, rook g4, g7, f4, g8 queen check, rook takes g8, rook c8 check, king d7 force, rook takes g8. White is winning and the rook can easily pick up all the black pawns. After rook e4, king f6, king g8, rook g7 check, king h8, rook takes c7. The start of return with interest. The rook is powerful at the 7th rank, the mighty king at the f6, and the pass pawn at g6. After rook e8 force, otherwise checkmate at the 8th rank. King takes f5, rook e4, king f6 with checkmate threat at rook c8, rook f4 check, king e5. The d5 pawn is dome and the rest is easy for white. Rook g4, g7, good move, preserving a pawn. If black play rook takes g7, then rook takes g7. more easier for white to win because the easiest is the pure pawn ending. After king g8, rook takes a7, rook g1, again avoiding the exchange of rook and creating some counterplay. But white is totally winning. King takes d5, now white capture more than what he sacrificed. Rook c1, king d6, rook c2, d5, rook c1, rook c7, rook a1, king c6, rook takes a4, then d6. After this move, black resigned. He cannot stop the white d-pawn without loss of rook. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Good luck and have a great day, GMGers.